So, after I finished playing XCOM 2, I put out a poll asking you guys what game you would like me to review for my next big project. So, here are the results of that poll. As you can see, XCOM 1 and 2 won the poll. However, seeing as I just finished the second game and almost finished the first one on my channel as well, I felt as though my thoughts on those games were fairly clear. Plus, doing so much XCOM so quickly didn't feel right to me. So I decided to do the second highest game on the poll. So, Sonic Heroes, sometimes referred to as the unofficial Sonic Adventure 3 by fans. I first played this game at my cousin's house. I saw it and I thought, Sonic, that's pretty cool. So fast forward about 1 to 2 years, I saw the game in a local gaming shop and instantly bought it for myself at a meager $19.99. I read the manual all the way home, helped my family put away the groceries, and then, when I first played the game, I loved it. See, before this I'd only played Sonic 1 for the Genesis, aside from the small 1 to 2 levels at my cousin's house, and I had only played as Team Sonic. So when I saw the back of the case, I saw you could play as 12 characters. That's insane! But when the disc loaded it up, I saw how it all worked. You play as one of 4 teams, each with 3 members. For this review, I'll briefly cover the stories of the different teams, and then talk about the gameplay. So each team has their own individual story. However, they're mostly pretty simple. Team Chaotix, starring Espio the Chameleon, Vector the Crocodile, and Charmy the Bee, need to make the rent. So when they receive a two-way radio in the mail, they just do what it says because they're promised money. Alright, pretty simple. Team Rose, who is made up of Amy Rose, Cream the Rabbit, and Bait the Cat, are looking for Froggy. Really? Do you even care about that frog anymore? And Cream's missing Chow Chocola. Also, Amy wants to find Sonic, but that's pretty standard at this point. Team Sonic, which is comprised of Sonic the Hedgehog, Tails the Fox, and Knuckles the Echidna, receive a... what is that? Movie paper? Yeah, I'm calling it movie paper from now on. So, Team Sonic receives movie paper from Dr. Eggman stating that...
In 3 days, I'll conquer the world. Think you can stop me?
So, they head out to stop him. Team Dark is where the real story happens. Team Dark's story, consisting of Rouge the Bat, Shadow the Hedgehog, and newcomer E123 Omega, the story starts with Rouge sneaking into Eggman's base. She inputs a secret code into this door, and in she goes. Inside, she finds Shadow in some sort of stasis pod. When she tries to open it and let him out, she accidentally revives Omega, who then goes on a rampage, shooting everything on sight and ranting about destroying all of Dr. Eggman's robots. Rouge breaks up the fight and finds out that Omega was locked in this room by Eggman for some reason, and Shadow cannot remember anything from Sonic Adventure 2 because he has amnesia. The 3 become a team and try to track down Dr. Eggman. Rouge because she wants the treasure, Omega because he wants revenge, and Shadow to recover his lost memories. As the story unfolds, different teams will come across each other and sometimes have fights. However, a few times their reasons for fighting are just plain weird. Check this one out.
Excuse me, miss. I was wondering if I could ask you something.
If it's about a date, it'll have to wait.
Date? You think this is a joke, you little brat?
Now hand over that chow nice and easy.
I bet you're the ones who took chocolate chow.
What?
It's not nice to tease my friends.
Yeah, time to rock and roll.
So, Amy makes one sarcastic comment and Vector is just ready to fight? That sounds to me like the writers really needed something to make these teams fight. Anyway, silly writing aside, the story is decent. I don't think it's bad, but I don't think it's particularly good either. It's for a younger audience, however, so it makes sense that it's not Shakespearean writing. So, after the story is done, after all of the teams make it past their 14 stages, plus 7 boss and mini-boss stages, their story is over. After all 4 teams complete their story, the final segment opens up. However, in order to access the final segment, you need to go back and collect all 7 Chaos Emeralds before the final story is playable. It doesn't matter which team that collects them, all you need is 7 emeralds collected by any combination of the teams, which is very helpful and lowers any amount of extra frustration that would be put upon the player. Alright, so for those of you who care about spoilers, skip to this part of the video now. You have 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1, go. The final story has you going up against the actual main villain, Metal Sonic, who imprisoned Dr. Eggman inside his own fleet, taking control of it for himself. Actually, there are a few hints to this reality in the Chaotix story, some of which are pretty obvious. So, the teams all have to work together to defeat Metal Sonic. Team Rose, Team Chaotix, and Team Dark weaken him, and then Team Sonic goes super and... Wait, no, only Sonic goes super. Tails and Knuckles just get glowing yellow orb things. That's kinda weird. I mean, Tails and Knuckles have super forms, as evidenced in Sonic 3, so why don't they have it here? I don't know. Maybe Sonic needs to be the special one. Anyways, Team Sonic blast off again to go save the day. They defeat Metal Sonic and peace is restored. Hooray! There's an ending cutscene and the credits roll. Okay, spoilers are over. Everyone can come back. It's a 15-year-old game at this point, but whatever. Now to dive into the gameplay. When you start the game, you'll see on the top right side there's a wheel of characters that you can switch to at any time. You have your speed character in blue, your flight character in yellow, and your strength character in red. Each of these have special attacks and abilities. The different teams have different variations of these attacks, but for the most part, each team has the same attacks. You also have level ups, which indicate how strong your attacks actually are. You're going to want to level up as fast as you can, because some enemies have massive health bars that will take you forever to kill normally. Or you could just use the Team Blast attack, which will one-shot any enemy except for bosses. Each team gets a separate bonus to the Team Blast meter, as it cools down as well. Team Rose gets 1 level up for every character, a shield, invincibility, and speed sneakers. That's really good. Team Chaotix gets extra rings with each enemy killed, as well as rings for each enemy killed with the Team Blast. Team Sonic gets to use the Sonic Blast attack, which can have Sonic jump in the air and press the attack button to hit any enemies that somehow survived. Team Dark freezes time. Unfortunately, this also freezes the stage, so if there's a door in your way, it's not opening until time goes back to normal. So now onto the abilities of the cast. The speed formation characters have the homing attack, locking onto enemies and, well, homing in on them for an attack. There's also the tornado attack, where you create a tornado that can either throw enemies in the air or disarm them, which is really useful. You can't take their weapon away, but you can get rid of their shields, which makes them easier to kill. The Rocket Excel, which is never used and is useless as an ability. Alright, here's how you're supposed to use the Rocket Excel.
Ducky's using Rocket Excel!
Ready? Go! Go!
Yeah!
Here we
And
go!
here's what everyone does.
Sonic, let's charge it, using your Rocket Excel.
Yup, it's never needed. All you have to do is run forward. Exclusive to Sonic and Shadow is the Lightspeed Dash ability, which allows you to follow a trail of rings really quickly. However, it can be buggy and unpredictable at times. This is a pain as it's required in some stages to advance forward. See, look at this, it launches me upwards. But I do the same thing here, and this time it doesn't. What gives? Anyways, moving on, we have the flight formation characters, whose only attack is to fling your own enemies at the teammates. They have a separate attack when they're by themselves, but don't use this, this is gonna get you hit more than anything else. Charmy goes after enemies. Cream sends Chicola the Chow to attack enemies, and Tails and Rouge have these weird fake rings that will stun enemies. But again, don't use these attacks, they're pretty terrible. Just use your other characters. The flying enemies also can, surprise surprise, fly in the air, taking your team into the skies for about 5 seconds before falling back down again. Do I sound unimpressed? Yeah, it's because I am. I don't like the flying formation. I only use them when it's utterly necessary or if I am rail grinding, because switching from rail to rail is an absolute joke. You don't get to fly very long at all, so I usually just stick to the other classes. The power formation is where the real, power comes in. Yeah, that was a lame joke, but I already wrote it, and I already read it, so I'm not taking it out of the script now. The power formation uses a 3-hit combo, wherein the third attack is usually super devastating to opposing forces. Note that you can only use the third part of the combo if you have at least one level up with your power character. Now, here's where things really split up. Team Rose and Team Chaotix have separate air attacks from Team Sonic or Dark. Vector and Big have this ground pound attack, which is good for clearing out ground enemies, but I frequently end up hurting myself by jumping onto either a hazard or an enemy spear or something. I much prefer Knuckles and Omega's air attacks. They jump in the air and they shoot their friends down at the enemies as fireballs, dealing massive damage even without level ups. It even goes through some shields. They also have the best 3-hit combos in my opinion. And Knuckles has this kind of rapid fire punch move as well, which is exclusive to him. Without a doubt, I like the mechanics of Team Sonic and Dark the most. However, this brings up another point about the game, stage length. So, quickly I'll bring up that each team is considered a different difficulty. Team Rose is the easy mode, Team Sonic is the normal mode, Team Dark is the hard mode, and Team Chaotix is the crazy mode. Let me explain. Here I've drawn a very elaborate drawing of a stage in the game. Since each team goes through the same stages, the difficulty works like this. The goal ring for Team Rose, with a few enemies guarding it, will be located here. Here's Team Sonic's goal ring, guarded by a moderate amount of enemies. Here's Team Dark's goal ring, guarded by a lot of enemies. And Team Chaotix, well, their stages are mission-based, with moderate enemies, about the same as Team Sonic. And if you don't complete the mission, there's a flower at the end of the level, which will loop you back to the start. So, the stage may end here, or it could end here. It all depends on how well you know the stages. I highly recommend not playing Chaotix first. Play them as your third or fourth team. Once you know the stages, it'll be much easier to complete their missions. Overall, I don't like playing the game 4 times in a row to complete it, but the separate playstyles of the teams definitely helps a bit. Team Rose is for more short bursts of action, Team Chaotix has the missions, Team Dark is a lot more combat oriented, and Team Sonic is just about going fast. Now to talk about the different controls. Each team controls very similarly, with the exception of different movesets. I think this works in favor of the game, since this gives the teams a bit more individuality. For instance, Amy has a hover which she can perform by holding the jump button in the air, making platforming a lot easier. Espio has invisibility, which makes enemies completely avoidable. Shadow and Sonic have the Lightspeed Dash and this maneuver called a Tornado Jump. Here's how it works. When you jump in the air, you can press the attack button to do the tornado attack. People soon discovered that if you held the jump button as well as the attack button while performing the tornado attack, you got an extra height to your jump. This allows for extra mobility, which was never intended in the game, which has allowed people to skip a lot of sections of the levels. And sometimes you can beat the levels as only the speed characters. I really like seeing how far I can make it in a level using only Sonic. All of the teams have near identical movement minus a few exceptions. So this really shows its face when you get to certain stages and your characters are just slamming into walls because the stage is too cramped for the speed at which the characters can move. Precise jumping is also a bit of an issue because the controls are a bit finicky. This is admittedly not a huge problem because most of the platforms in the game are very big, so it seems like the design team has found out that controls in a 3D space are not very good, so they just made the platforms bigger, which is a very nice gesture. Also, when you're moving at high speeds and you want to turn, sometimes it'll be just a nice slow turn, and other times you'll just dash to the side at a 90-degree angle. This is more of a problem on the PS2 version of the game, which is terrible. Seriously, if you can play the GameCube or PC version, do that. The PS2 version is really, really bad. It has terrible collision detection, unstable frame rates, and somehow the controls are more slippery. It's also a lot more buggy. I've had countless times where I've been, because I have both versions. I have the PS2 version and I have the GameCube version on an emulator. I bought it. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I've had times in the PS2 version where I'll just be running through a stage and for no reason whatsoever, I'll just fall through the floor. This doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it's really annoying. In the GameCube version, I've never had this issue happen. The physics in this game can also be utter nonsense, because when you land on the ground after a very big fall or like a cannon fire or something, if you have any momentum that isn't downward, you will zoom off in that direction, which usually results in getting hit or falling off a platform. This is really annoying, so I've started basically dropping my controller whenever I'm falling a great distance. Now, when you approach a ledge with a sudden drop at high speed, your character is supposed to stop and do a losing their balance animation, but half the time it doesn't work and you just fall to your death anyway. You can fall off ledges after being hit as well. However, the game is more lenient here, as when you are hit and you fall off a ledge, you get a free midair jump to recover. This combined with the tornado jump with Sonic and Shadow can really save you a lot of lives. The jump is gimped, but at least you have a chance to come back. Now, I haven't talked about this yet, so I might as well bring it up now. The special stages in the game. There are two different kinds of special stages in Sonic Heroes. However, the way to enter them is the same. Grab a key from this metal box in a level, get to the end without taking a hit, and bam, special stage. First, there are the bonus stages, which you get on the first stage of each group. And what they have is they have power orbs, which exist to charge the boost meter at the top right, to increase the timer at the bottom of the stage, so you can make it to the end for extra lives. And that's all you get from those stages. You go through them, you get extra lives. Second, there are the emerald stages, in which they look exactly the same, and except there's a floating emerald and a progress bar on the bottom. And you have to chase it down to catch it. If you catch it, you get the emerald. In emerald stages, you also have these little spiky orbs that will slow you down a ridiculous amount, explode on contact, and take a lot of your boost meter away. Also, can I just say, the controls in this special stage are so bad! It's so fidgety, it's so imprecise. There were times where I got stuck on the top of the pipe because the game decided that I want to stay there. Sure, I could try to jump down, but I will lose all of my speed and probably lose my chance at the emerald. See, these stages are not forgiving at all, so you'd better hope that you're able to get that emerald, otherwise it's going back to the previous stage to play that entire stage, go get the key to have a chance at getting the emerald again. It's for this reason that I and everyone else who's ever reviewed this game recommend attempting going for the emeralds as Team Rose. Since they have the shortest stages in the game, it'll be a lot easier to have another go. Now then, let's move on to the visuals. So, right up front, I'll say that I don't really care about graphical quality in video games. I mean, a few of my favorite games are older than I am. Although, this is a review, so I thought I should at least point out some of the things that stood out to me. One of the things I noticed is that the stages themselves look great, from the color schemes to the decorations, to the enemies, to the music. Here, check this out. Here's the first stage of the game. Listen to the music, look at the bright colors, and the low amount of enemies. It feels like you're just having a good time and not taking things too seriously.
Let's go.
Now, here's the haunted level. It's a spooky atmosphere with a new magician healer enemy. The music is creepier, the colors are a bit darker and like purple, creepy, and the haunted house design is really cool.
My turn.
I'll do my best.
My turn.
I'll do my best. Here we go.
Ooh.
And
You
here's the
just
final
switched.
stage. The sky is dark, the stage is dimly lit, the music is more electronic or robotic to emphasize that this is Eggman's base.
Let's jump. Let's go. Dave,
Let's go up there.
let's go.
Also, side note, the special stages are trippy. I only noticed this while recording the gameplay for this, but go back. Here, let me show you. Look at the background of this special stage. You know, it kind of reminds me of Sonic 1. It's really trippy. It's just really this weird thing going on in the background, which you're not really going to pay attention to because you're looking on the stage, but it's kind of weird. Well, that's all for the visuals. Like I said, I'm a much bigger fan of how the game plays rather than how it looks. Although, I mean, I can admit the graphics will look a little bit dated for the PS2, but I mean, for me, that's a non-issue. Oh boy, this has been a really big project for me, so I hope that you all enjoyed. The review is technically over here, but if you're interested in a little bit of stats from me, then go ahead and stick around. So for Team Rose, I had a total of 4 playing sessions, in which I started and stopped the game 4 different times. I had a total play time of 1 hour, 47 minutes, 42 seconds, which left me with 62.6 gigabytes of footage. My overall enjoyment of the team was 7 out of 10. The stages are sometimes a little bit short, and I like the mechanics of other teams a little bit better. Team Chaotix, I had 4 playing sessions. However, I had 3 hours, 4 minutes, and 20 seconds total playtime, which amounts to 111.2 gigabytes of footage. My enjoyment of this team, 4 out of 10. I do not like Team Chaotix mission-based style gameplay. I will say to the creators that I can applaud you for trying something different, but I mean, why did you get rid of the radar system for trying to find things as you had in Sonic Adventure 1 and 2? That just screams of trying to extend the gameplay out, and it really just isn't fun for me. Now, for Team Dark, I had 6 playing sessions, which added up to 3 hours, 37 minutes, 21 seconds total playtime, which left me with 132.6 gigabytes of footage. My enjoyment of this team is 5 out of 10. It's kind of the same situation with Team Chaotix as it is with Team Dark. Team Dark stages are just way too long and there's way too many enemies. Unlike Team Sonic or Team Rose, a lot of Team Dark stages are defined by the enemies, so you have to stop and kill the enemies, and then keep going, and then stop and kill the enemies, and then keep going, and then stop and kill the enemies. It's for this reason that I have so many playing sessions, because I just got bored. I would play 2 stages, and then a boss stage, and then I would quit, and then I'd play 2 stages, and I'd play a boss stage, and then I'd quit, and then I did that for the entirety of Team Dark. So yeah, too long for me, too many enemies. If I could mod the game, I would, but I have to review this game in its vanilla form. So for Team Sonic, I had 3 playing sessions, which had me playing for 2 hours, 34 minutes, 24 seconds, which left me with 93.7 gigabytes of footage. My enjoyment of the team, 9 out of 10. I really think that most of the development time went into Team Sonic, since their stages can be a little bit long, but I think for the most part, they're a good length. The Team Sonic mechanics are my favorite in the game as well, because they involve the best part of the speed characters, the best part of the power characters. I don't care about the flight characters, so it doesn't matter. The flight characters are all the same. Like, Team Sonic's... Sonic's movement is just... it feels the best to me. Like, from the tornado jump, which allows me to skip parts of the section, to Knuckles' fighting style, which is, like, exactly what I want. It allows me to stay back at times, or go in when I want, especially the rapid-fire punches. That can do tons of damage to enemies, so I don't need to spam Team Blast all the time. That's just... so yeah, 9 out of 10. That's my favorite team by far. And I thought, why not? I'll put the last story in here. It's not a team, but it's the last story, which I completed in 1 playing session, and it took me 15 minutes and 51 seconds, 6.45 gigabytes of footage, and my enjoyment of the team was 7.5 out of 10. I really like the last story. It allows you to play as every team, but instead of doing your mission or killing a bunch of enemies, it's just focus on the boss. That's it. You don't have to worry about getting through a 15-minute stage It's just you and the boss. That's it. Kill him. I mean, also, Team Rose at the start gets freaking 2 Team Blasts, so that's 2 levels on them immediately. And Team Chaotix gets 2 level ups for Espio and Charmy, and then Team Dark gets 3 levels up for everyone, which is amazing. And then Team Sonic, when they go Super, oh man, that final boss music is just amazing. I love it. Thank you to Crush 40 for that. I think the song is called What I'm Made Of by Crush 40. If you want to, go ahead and look it up. I really enjoyed it. It's really good. So, my totals for all of this were 18 playing sessions, totaling 11 hours, 17 minutes, and 58 seconds of playtime, 406.55 gigabytes of footage, and totaling these all together, my average enjoyment of the game was 6.5 out of 10. So you know what? Let's leave that as the final score, 6.5 out of 10. I mean, for as much as I enjoy this game, I don't like Team Chaotix and I don't like Team Dark, like, at all. That's why the overall score is really short. If this was just Team Sonic and Team Rose, I would be totally okay with that, and I'd probably give this game like an 8 or an 8.5. But, I mean, that would make it a ridiculously short game, so yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed. This took me a really long time to do, so yeah. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you for the next video.